Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. Again, sorry I didn't do the Fight the Night review in full, I just didn't have enough time. But yeah, I liked it, I thought it was a decent fight, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about 6 albums, so let's go through the 6 albums. We begin with The Bad Day and their new album, The Irish Goodbye. I did think this was a debut, but it turns out it's their second release, I believe. And despite having a name called, well, the album being called The Irish Goodbye, this band is English. I'm giving it a B. I thought this was some really solid hard rock with a really good lean on the storytelling, but also around that storytelling is supposed to be this concept of like a musician having an affair with a woman he meets, right? And that's an interesting story to go with. They don't fully lean into it though, which I think does cause a bit of risk, which is a shame because I actually quite like most of the things about the album. I think the producing and mixing overall is really, really nicely detailed. I like the pacing. It can be a little bit repetitive at times, but I do like that they try and work in outside elements. I like that there's good usage of a harmonica. I'm so sorry for my hair. But you know, they're worked in quite well. And the performances are really good. A lot of charisma from the band. The lead singer does a really good job of conveying the stories at the very least. I can't say he doesn't. Just solid rock riffs. I wish there were more solos as well. And yeah, overall, just pretty good in most of its areas. Again, slightly. The pacing can be a little bit off putting and can take some getting used to, but again, not a massive deal breaker. Yeah, I quite liked the bits of the album I was supposed to like, so all good. Next, we have Guided by Voices and their 40th album. I'm not kidding, titled Strut of Kings. 40 albums. Jesus on a pedalo. Anyway, really good indie rock sort of stuff. Basically the same thing that I've been doing for such a long time, even though I've only listened to one other album besides this for that decades long top 10 thing I've got to do for every year since the year of my birth, but I'll get to it eventually. Probably near the end of this year, but I'm giving this one a B+. I liked it. I thought the instrumentation was really, really nice. I like the overall fun and sort of mellowish vibe that the album had too. I just think that they really leaned into that quite well. It's got a sort of like calming presence to it, which is hard to describe. I couldn't find anything for the lyrics, but if I had to guess, maybe something to do with maturity and possibly fatherhood. I don't know. All I know is that the lead singer is in his 60s and he can still belt out a really, really good tune. He's got a good, like, fun sort of personality to him, which I think conveys itself well. The riffs are really, really solid. Production's really nice too, quite organic, really helps out. Well, yeah, it does really help out, and I like the pacing a fair bit too. I think it's structured quite nicely, and it contains within it some really catchy hooks and just solid writing all in all. So, yeah, if you like Guided by Voices at all, give this a go. Next, we have Kitty with their new album Fire, and oh god, did I miss these girls. I really, really did. It's their first album in 13 years, I believe, and I did a backtracking episode for these people, and giving this one a B. I liked it. I thought it was a really solid return to form for their signature groove / old metal stylings. I think the band still sound really, really good. I think the production is pretty good as well. I think my main thing with it might be the fact that it just kind of feels like another Kitty album, and after 13 years, it shouldn't really be that way. Like, yeah, the production's about how it usually sounds for them. The lyrics are just about like sort of defiance and trying to be determined in the face of danger and things like that. And it just feels like stuff that they've done before. They don't really push a lot of boundaries with it. But I'm giving it a B anyway because, like, I don't know, I fucking miss these guys. You know, it's just nice to have another album by them. The riffs are still there, they're still really, really heavy. There's some solid pacing here and there as well, and the performances are still good. The vocalists, specifically the lead vocalist, whose name I'm completely blanking on, and I'm sorry, all do a really fucking good job. The band have that solid chemistry that they never really lost. So, yeah, if you miss Kitty as much as I did, I recommend giving it a go. Next is an interesting one, as it's Kneecap with their new album Fine Arts. So, I this is an interesting one because when I was looking this up, it turns out that there's a biopic starring the band as themselves. So I'm not sure if it's a full-on biopic or something. I haven't seen it, but I kind of want to. Giving this a B+. This is an Irish rap trio from Belfast, I believe, somewhere in Belfast. And yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really goddamn funny. I thought it was really well produced too. I liked most of the beat work. The lyrics do tackle things like youth culture in Ireland, and they do have some political leaning stuff, but it's mostly just really told in a very fun way. I will admit it does fail a little bit in terms of its pacing, I would say, because there's like 18 songs, right? But about 6 of them are just interludes and skits, and they don't even fit the context of the album, not like one I'm going to get to in a little bit. But yeah, overall I was charmed by the album. It's a bit dumb in places, and I do wish it would try and go deeper with that songwriting. I think the deep element sort of kneecaps it, funnily enough, a little bit. Whereas like Joey Valence and Bray's new album works because they stuck with one vibe for the most part. I feel like Kneecap should have just stuck to one thing, but I can't blame them for trying something else. And this is my first album by them, and they're still early on. This is only their second album. They're first in 6 years, so really good shit from them. I can recommend if you just want some really fun and occasionally hilarious Irish hip-hop. Next is a band that sounds like a knockoff mouthwash, and yes, I said that in my Discord review, the Mysterines. Giving their new album, Afraid of Tomorrows, which is only their second one, I'm giving it a B. Now, at its core, this band is an alternative rock band, and on this album they work in elements of like shoegaze and sort of post-rock and more traditional old styles and some grunge stuff. And all in all, I really like how they work that into the pacing, The problem is that the core alt rock sound isn't strong enough to keep that other stuff afloat. I still think like a B is a fair grade because a lot of people are swearing by this one, right? And I know I've been sort of like the contrarian in that case because, the last dinner party, I didn't like their new album as much as most people. Crawler? Or The Crawlers? I don't fucking remember. Didn't like that album as much as most other people did. I still enjoyed them, just not as much as most others. But I still like this one enough. I think the band, especially lead vocalist Liam Metcalf, has a really soothing sort of dulcet tone to her. And the band have a really good chemistry and personality to them. They can write some really good stuff. There's solid themes of addiction and guilt and things like that. But it suffers from a lot of repetitive phrasing that I think is just being repetitive to try and be catchy, but it got a little bit annoying at times for me. I don't know. But yeah, most of the core riffs are decent, especially when they work in the outside elements. I just wish that the core alt rock thing was, again, punchy enough to like really fill it out, and it just kind of isn't. But at the same time, it's a bold and ambitious album, and I can't deny that. It's got a lot of really good stuff going for it, and the production's quite nice too. I mean, John Congleton does a really good job, as he often does. Maybe a tad overproduced at times, but you know what? I'm not really justifying it being a B. It's a good album. Go listen to it. There you go. Yeah, solid enough alt rock, and kind of weird, but like in a refreshing way because it works in all this other stuff. So give it a go for that alone. And finally, we have Nothing More and their 7th album, Carnal. And yeah, this one gets the highest grade of the episode, which I think is kind of expected because it's Nothing More. They're awesome. Giving this one an A. Really loved this one. There's not really many faults I can think of with it. I did sort of allude to this earlier with when I was talking about Kneecap's album. This album technically has 15 songs. 10 of those are actual songs, and 5 are like sort of sample-ish speeches. But they actually work within the context of the album's themes, which are sort of like some political stuff, some personal stuff. But there's also really uplifting lyrics, and the album does feel like, shit's rough right now, but you'll get through it. You'll be okay. It doesn't feel like an empty platitude. Like I've covered a lot of albums this year that have had that same thing, but no, Nothing More actually had the charisma to really make you believe it, especially Johnny Hawkins, who's still on form. I don't think he's ever missed with any of his performances. Tons of personality and energy just bursting out of the man. Really great vocal chops, really good performance, really good work from the rest of the band too. Obviously, guitar work, bass work, drum work, all nice. Production's really, really good too. It was produced by Drew fucking Falk. And he's never produced an album for these guys before, and it makes me wonder why, because they're signed to Better Noise. Drew works for, well, I think Drew just works up for whatever label will hire him. But, like, yeah, Drew is fucking awesome and a great choice, and he produces the album so wonderfully, very organic, adds a lot of sounds. Makes the sound really pop in the most important places. Great lyrical things, which I've gone over. The riffs are super, super good too. I like the melodies. I think this is one of the more melodic albums that Nothing More have ever put out too, and it's got a lot of really strong pacing points as a result. And yeah, I can't really think of many things wrong with the album, although for some reason a lot of other critics kind of can. Well, I say a lot of other critics. I only read like 3 reviews. Kerrang gave it a 3 out of 5, and Sputnik Music gave it 2.5 out of 5. And, you know, Kerrang, I sort of get at points, but like Sputnik Music is kind of the Reddit on occasion of online music reviews. So I don't always trust their opinion as readily. But yeah, just it's nothing more. You know, it's a great album. Is it a top 30 maker? It could be. I've really got to rearrange the list considering we're in July now. Just go and listen to it, it's fucking good. Next up is the official rankings, which everyone cares about, I know. So we'll go with The Mysteries with Afraid of Tomorrow's at the bottom. Sorry. The Bed's with The Irish Goodbye. Kitty with Fire. Probably Kneecap with Fine Art, then Guided by Voices of Strutter Kings. And then finally at the top, Nothing More with Carnal, but as always, spent all of these at least once. As for favourite song, I would have to go with Run For Your Life from Nothing More's new album. I just really like it. It's a really good closer. Well, there's a sampled song after it, which is technically the closer, but this should have been the closer, and it's just got really good dynamics to it and really strong instrumentation and a good performance. It's just a great closing, just a great end to a really good album. And favourite album cover goes to Kneecap's album Fine Art. There's just something a bit simplistic about it which I like, which it's just a balaclava in a frame, in a paint frame of portrait frame. You know what I mean. That thing, a frame, just a frame, picture frame. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I really like that one though. That went off the rails. That'll about do it for me then. Next thing I'll see will probably be tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get reaction done. I really should. It's been such a long time. And then the go home show for Violent Delights. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you all for that, for definite. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.